Welcome to everyone for attending our very first ever wildlife photography training course. We're doing this with Usha Harish, who is a good friend. And before I tell you a little bit about her, I just want to welcome all the participants. I can see that we have 45 people already logged in, which is fantastic. And
Absolutely.
we have people online from Kenya, India, Australia, Saudi Arabia, Ghana, United Kingdom, Indonesia, Singapore, USA, and Bahrain. And maybe there are even others. If you're from another country and I haven't mentioned it, please put it in the chat because we'd really love to know where you're from. So this is a special webinar on wildlife photography. I'm Paula Kuhumbu. I run Wildlife Direct. It's a conservation organization based in Kenya that has a mission to connect people to nature so that they will treasure it and act to save it. And one of the activities that we do is photography. We have a photography competition called Nature's Treasures. And Nature's Treasures is just one of the many activities that Wildlife Direct does. And if you'd like to know more, I'm really happy to tell you. But for now, we're just going to be talking about photography. And with us is an amazing guest for our first ever training course on wildlife photography, Usha Harish. And Usha is originally from India. And Usha has lived in Kenya for the last 13 years. And she told me that she fell in love with nature and wildlife and photography, even though that isn't actually what she originally has been doing in her life. She's actually a trained chartered accountant. But you come to Kenya, you fall in love with the wildlife, and that's it.
Yeah, that's
There's
right.
no going back. There's no more accountancy. So Usha has been taking photographs, not only in Kenya, but I've been seeing your incredible Instagram feed, photographs in India and other parts of the world, photographs that have really moved people. And some of them have even won awards. So this is really, really exciting for us to be able to do this training course. I want to remind everybody that we are holding this session because we especially want beginners and young people especially to learn some of Usha's incredible tricks and tips on how to be a better photographer. I don't want to say that we're beginners, actually. I think we should call ourselves future professionals. That's what we are. And Usha's going to get us there. Usha can tell us a bit more about herself as she goes through the session. We're going to try and keep this within 1 hour. So I hope you're all looking via computer so that you get to experience the pleasure of her incredible photos. And also keep a notebook at your side so that you can jot things down. We are recording the session, so I hope everybody is okay with that. This will be made public via our website and our social media so that anybody who missed it will still be able to catch up with our very first wildlife photography class. So welcome everybody and welcome Usha.
Thank you, Paula. It's a pleasure. And also I must say thank you for this opportunity. I have always loved to share what I have learned. And because I'm a self-taught photographer, so I do know and I understand how it feels like for people who really want to take photographs, but they also can't do a schooling on that and they need a guidance. So it's always been my pleasure to whatever I have in this journey. So yeah, so this is a great platform which you have given to make sure that in addition to the photo competition which is happening, it really gave a lot of insights, and that's how this discussion and things came forward, right? For us to probably do something so that people understand what best can be done and what can be a good photograph. So yeah, so hello everyone. I am so humbled, and I'm so happy that so many people, all lot of friends, lot of acquaintances, lot of guests, and through social media, everybody has given this interest and joined this webinar. We are at tough times. I hope everybody is staying safe and in accepting this new normal. This is a new normal for me as well. I am completely in a lockdown mode and unable to go for safaris. Yes. So what we thought is I'm going to present to you today about what can be a good photograph through my journey, through what I have seen and experienced and learned through various platforms, through various practical knowledge which I have received when I used to go out. I always go out, but not now. And so yeah, so I want to talk more about compositions, because that is something which it's in our control. You know, we can control that. We don't need a sophisticated camera for getting a good composition. We need is the eye to photograph, and also a smartphone or even a camera, you know. So Paula, I'm going to share my screen so
Okay.
that it can be easy for everybody. So please, everybody, if you find this interesting, keep the chat live and keep it going so that we know that you are listening. This is a very different kind of an experience for me, because I'm not able to see anybody. I'm not able to see their expressions. Are you getting bored? Are you happy? Are you interested? So just keep the chat session on, so it'll be nice for it to be, you know, a bit more lively. Okay. So so I'm going to take everyone through a little presentation on what is nature photography and what can best be done. So in my experience, I started with uh, liking nature, stepping out in nature, knowing more about the little things. I fell in love with Masai Mara. That was my first love, I must say. When I went for a safari, I saw a lot of animals, plus the beauty of nature there. um, I enjoyed just being there, and then I started taking photographs. It was a hobby at the beginning, and I must say I got into it after my son was born. When he was 2 years is when I started stepping out. And what I have understood here in this kind of photography is you need a lot of patience. You need to just be there and wait for the moment to happen, because you cannot script nature. Anything can happen anytime. So you just need to be patiently waiting for the animal to behave, or even anything happening in nature. It could be an insect, it could be a bird. um, First and foremost is to learn and know about it, and then to respect the subject. The subject here means what you're going to photograph. So a subject, if you are seeing a bird in a tree, your subject, you are actually looking for photographing that bird. Now with that bird, if you alert the bird is not going to be in its natural sense, you know. So the bird is alert, the bird is conscious. You will not know when the bird will fly. You will not know what the bird is going to do. All you have done is you have alerted the bird. So it's always better to be, you know, taking it like how you take candids of people. When you take photographs of candids of people, you are not alerting the person. So the person is really in a natural self, you know. He may give a nice smile, he may be laughing, he may be in his moment. So I consider, you know, being that should be applied even in wildlife. Is you just need, you should never get the attention of the animal. You must take the animal at its own due behavior, habitat. So this is one of the most critical things. It needs patience and it needs respecting nature. So I'm going to take you through some of the photographic compositions which can change the way you are going to take photograph. Because we all love nature. I'm sure there's none who would not like to see what's happening around. You actually capture it through your eyes, but we can do that through our camera in a better way. So this. So what you are seeing here is a collection of images, which this is how I was taking photographs when I started. You know, I used to just click. I never used to think about the image. I was so excited, I was restless, so I'll just go and capture it, whatever I could see. So then later on, as I improved through different various platforms of learning, through various, and that I must say that I was seeing a lot of images from different platforms, from wonderful photographers, and I was always captivated with compositions. I don't know why. That's what I loved to see an image speaking. So these were my initial images, and I'm sure everybody goes through this. So I wanted to make it that, you know, we learn. I'm still learning even today from seeing different photographs. These were also another you know, set of images where I was taking. Now I am taking images like these. Um, there is a difference between that and this, and I always preserve, I think you all should do as well, preserve your old photographs, because when you look back, you can really see how you have improved your photographs. So never delete anything. Keep it with you. These are treasures, these are memories, and you will see your journey coming up. So these are the kind of images now I am able to take. So why am I taking these images is what I'm going to explain on, delving more about compositions today, because photography is a very vast subject. It cannot be covered in 1 hour. Paula has strictly given me 1 hour. So it's so just see what I am showing now. And please, if you have any questions, anything, please feel free, put it in chat messages. I'll try my best to explain it. And but this is mainly, I am so happy that I'm sure there are a lot of children today seeing this webinar as well, and I want to make it as simple as possible so that everybody gets something out of it. So this is two images I have taken. The left one is a bunch of impalas, and there's a beautiful green background, green grass. Whereas, so the right one is focusing on two impalas, which is, if you see, is a cropped version of that photograph. Now, why is this, the one on the right, more captivating than the one on the left? Because there is a lot of confusion in the left image. If you see, you don't know where your eyes have to move around. Should I go for this impala, that impala? Should I go for the tree or the clouds? But whereas in this, you can see my subject was just to focus on the impalas, which are, and they're straight looking at the camera. So this is a better photograph than the left. I hope you all are getting it, what I'm trying to explain. Paula?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. The difference is obvious, although having said that, I did exactly what you've done in the past. Take loads of pictures and hope that there's going to be a nice one in there. Actually, I think what you're saying is be really intentional and try and capture the composition in a way that is so naturally pleasing to your eye.
Yes, true. So I would say, see, go take photographs, take practice with your camera, practice, take every single shot. The more you take, the more you come back, the more you see. Next time when you go, and once you see these composition techniques, next time when you go, you might be taking a better photograph because you have it in mind how you have to take. So
Usha, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Somebody asked a question about your beautiful picture of the 3 lions, and they asked, is that a multi-picture shot, multi-exposure?
No, so this is a perspective in which these lions were sitting, and it was the angle at which I saw it, that these lions were like looking in different directions. If the angle had even taken around 10 degrees different, we couldn't have got this kind of a composition. So
I hope
yeah,
Raj,
that was a special image.
I hope Raj saw that response.
Thank you. That was a nice one. Thanks. So, what makes a good photograph? I've just broken down in very simple terms. Lighting is definitely an important aspect in a photograph. That is the brightness, because a lot of people, we take photographs, but what happens is it's not bright. The composition might be great, but then there is no light in it. So the photo cannot be understood what it is. Colors make a big difference in any image. Please remember, black and white is also a color. So colors are important in a photograph. Contrast is the different, it's the, the dark shades and the lighter shades, how you are blending those. When you see nature, there are many places where there is contrast, so you can capture that. Focus, which is sharpness, is extremely important. You cannot have an out of focus image, like you are probably seeing a lion, but unfortunately you have not focused on the lion, but you are focused on the tree which was behind. What happens is your story is not conveyed what you wanted to show in the photograph. So focus is also equally important. Composition, that's what I'm going to actually today talk more on, that which is, I feel, makes or breaks an image. Human eye, we are so trained. Human eye usually sees, like if you see, if you just go as, you can do it as a test. If you go out, you will see why is this a wow thing and why this is not. When you see that, you will understand that's how our human eyes are trained, tuned. And that's what is also spilling over in photography in terms of compositions. So so there are certain things which I have written down in terms of what can be a good composition. Yeah, these are, see, it's not like it's like, you can create, you can really be creative, but there are certain things which makes it, which really has to be taken care. And so these are the breakdowns of, which I am going to take you through as we see. um, Rule of thirds, which is a very, very conventional way of photographing, and but which is very, I feel, which is very, very critical for making a composition. Leading lines, horizon line, fill the frame, what makes a good portrait, background, angles, habitat, perspective, story. So there are these which can lead to a great photograph. But always, please respect nature. I feel once we respect nature, we get more than what we expect in a photograph. And this is my personal experience. There have been times where I have not come out with even a single image, but I've seen the scene, but I don't see that as a great photograph. So I have it in my laptop, in my desktop, but I don't show it because I didn't want to do something where I can get it. So so this is called rule of thirds. It's basically breaking down an image into 9 parts. So if you can see these grid lines, which are horizontal and vertical, in your camera, even small grid lines can be activated. So when you are taking a photograph, you can see the grid lines and you can place your subject accordingly, which is, I think, most of us do not activate the grid lines. So it's not humanly possible for everyone to have the lines straight when you are taking a photograph. So these grid lines really help to place it well. So if you notice in this image on the right, there is my focus, my I wanted to place the gazelle, the deer, in on the right side. And that's how, so the human eye, what happens is we are trained to see if anything is off center, which helps and leads us to the subject, the photograph. So like this is again like of 30. If the beetle is kept in the center and if the beetle is kept on the left as an off center, how the image really changes. We so it really helps in knowingly taking a photograph, positioning the subject on these rule of thirds, on these grid lines. You can see a big difference. So I just wanted to show you how it looks if not, and if it is in that way. Yeah, the photo becomes more balanced, and we tend to interact with the image quite naturally. So if you notice, you have a look at different images, you can see um, rule of thirds applied in most of the photographs. So which maybe you will go and check it out later. And I would love for you all to take it and see how it changes, perspective on the subject. This one is again taken with rule of thirds. So you see the kite is flying. It's, you have captured the moment. The kite is sharp. You have expanded, showed the wings. Everything is there. But where you place the subject defines how the photograph looks. So a kite in the center or a little up, or the kite in the middle, sorry, in the on the right on one of the grid lines, is something which can change the perspective of the image. By the way, these images are the beetle, the kite is being taken by my son, who is also learning photography. I mean, seeing the compositions and trying it. So that those are his. Sometimes rule of thirds can not be applied as the center focus, because it can give you symmetry like these images. The giraffes, if the giraffes are seeing you, and that shows the balance in the image if it is centered, and even the lions I have centered. So rule of thirds cannot be applied for everything. You have to try and test it. But where you want to show the subject as the main focus, you can apply this, being, centering the photo, which gives symmetry. So this next is leading lines. You can see in this image, why is this image, I put some lines here. So our eyes are tuned to lines and patterns and everywhere. If you notice at our house, if we are hanging a wall picture, like the wall picture to be a bit tilted, I don't think so. We immediately go and straighten it out to, we are tuned to lines and patterns. So in photography, even in nature, you see this leading lines. Now here the frog is, as you can see, the rule of thirds is applied in the grid in the center, but the main attention is going to how the lines are leading towards the photograph, how we are looking at the frog, and how the lines are at the background giving more detail to this image. So lines are one of the main subject. This is one of my favorite images, and I was so lucky and I'm so glad that I got this kind of a shot. But it is possible. It's only that we just need to visualize how we are if you notice in this, I have off-centered the family of elephants which are walking and coming by. But what is important in this image is the diagonal lines which are giving the powerful impact on the elephant. Now, I have heard a lot of good reviews about this image. Whenever people see it, I have it as a wall frame in my home. And whenever whoever sees it, they say, wow. But this wow can be done by anybody. It's only that why is it done in this way is these diagonal lines are leading our eyes towards these elephants. And that is exactly the reason why this is getting that impact. If you have elephants, yeah.
I was just going to say a quick question. I've just seen a question related to this particular picture from
okay,
Milind, asking, how did you get this photograph? Were you on the ground?
No, in national parks and reserves, we cannot get out of the vehicle. And so this was taken when we were in the safari. I was in the safari vehicle, and elephants were walking and coming. Um, I, I quickly went to, they were not far. I had taken it at around 300 focal length. But they were walking. So we just quickly composed this image, took this image, and then we moved because there is a path in which these elephants were walking. This was taken in Amboseli National Park. So it was all about, I really visualized that I have to take an image like this, because what you see from your human eye and you visualize is what you can capture in camera.
So I guess.
And I also could see that there was a small, yeah.
Sorry,
There's
carry
small,
on.
small family of elephants or were also walking at the background, taking a different track. So even that little detail, I think, added more to the story.
Yeah, I was just going to say that clearly one of the most important aspects of photographing some of these animals is understanding and predicting their movement. So taking time to
Yes.
get to know them and understand their biology, knowing where their path is going, so that you can position yourself well relative to all the other elements in the environment as well.
Absolutely. Because see, I have taken a lot of images in the beginning and done a lot of cropping, lot of things, lot of trash, lot of deletion. But now these images, what I'm showing, has very minimal cropping. So it's been just framed. It's that composition. It's not, nothing has been done because I'm consciously taking images, photographs. So once you do minimal cropping, you actually don't lose a lot of quality of the image. So that helps. So going to this, the leading lines, as I said, here, if you notice, these wildebeest are moving around. So, zigzag pattern or an S pattern, those angles, those lines also help to get, capturing the attention of the eye. So this is the actual image. This is how it was. So you see how the zigzag lines are helping to get the eye to move around the subject. So leading lines really help in taking photographs. This is another example. This, in fact, was one of the finalists for the Natural History Museum photo competition, which happened last year. So maybe they have gone for the photographic composition as well, because the diagonal lines really help in getting these birds' attention, because they have a pattern in which they are flying. So the next one is very important. I know many people who have come on safaris with me. I have kept telling them and bugging them about this particular aspect, is the horizon line. I'm sure many of them are smiling now because they know how much I have really told them. Horizon line is extremely important to make a photograph. We actually tend to oversight this little and tiny aspect of it, but it is extremely important. As I told you, we are really tuned to these lines. If you notice, we always say, hey, why is it crooked? Why is it not straight? That's exactly what. So I wanted to show you, look at that elephant family which is walking. I'm sure you can see the line is tilted. But if you straighten just a little bit, if you straighten that image is speaking more than the tilted one, right? Because so when you take a photograph, it's not just the subject that is here, the elephants. It is about the background of what you are taking. I completely understand you can do it later by editing. Today even smartphones or even cameras have this straighten technique, straighten tool. It can be done, no doubt about it. But I want you all to go one step before and just take it in the camera. It is very much possible. That's why those grid lines really help. Please keep it straight, like here, the lines. Then the next aspect is filling the frame. Sometimes you have a lot of animals or lot of some subjects of nature being there and you want to photograph, so it's better you fill the frame with that one subject which you want to showcase. So for this, in this example, it's a baby gorilla. I When I was shooting, I had lot of other gorillas around, and this was an infant and was playing, obviously clinging to the mother. So I didn't know how to really take composite. See, because nature cannot be scripted. It's not a studio place where we can ask them to be isolated and take. So we have to somehow manage with the situation what we get, and in natural light. So I really thought about it. I took it in mobile phone. I saw it's like a lot of gorillas together. How do I even take that expression of the baby? Then I had to go and probably go take a zoom of say 150 and then take this photograph so that this baby gorilla is in attention. This little green grass which is in the foreground, which is out of focus. Now you can see the difference, what I said, what is out of focus and what is in focus, that is sharp. So here the grass is out of focus and the baby gorilla is in focus. So the grass, I couldn't avoid, because this is nature. Certain places cannot be done, but how can you make it a little more appealing is what we can do. So I had to keep the grass here to show that they were, and babies always hide when they are really tiny. They don't want to give a pose. So this is how it came. So filling the frame helps in making the final photograph. Now this is again filling the frame. Chameleon, it's a 3-horn Jackson's chameleon male. Yeah, this I had to fill the frame because I had a lot of background there, so I had to go close and take so that the background becomes blurred and goes out of focus. The next one is what makes a good portrait. I think it's important to know because as humans, when we are taking photographs of people, so do we also can focus on taking nice photographs of animals. So this is a pet cat, not mine, not ours, our neighbors, but this can be done as a pet. You can practice this at home now. And so portrait has two different sections, right? One is you can just capture the face of the subject, which is here an animal, or you can take a full body of the animal where you don't cut any body parts. So if you cut the body part, then you can know that that is not a complete portrait. But if you're focusing, say, one particular thing, like you're taking an eye and a nose alone, that's okay. That's a straight zoomed in particular body part of the animal. But if you want to show the animal, either show the face with full features or show the full animal. So remember, angle is also equally important, which we will talk about more. So I would be a good portrait of how it can be taken. It's a very common thing. Everybody takes portraits. So yeah. The next one is another very, very important thing, which I feel extremely, it breaks or makes the image, is background. What we tend to forget, and what I was also doing a lot, is I was so focused on what I want to take, I forget what the background is. This, I feel, is a classic example of giant kingfisher. This giant kingfisher actually is become a resident bird in our compound where we stay. So this was taken by my son, and the one you see on the left, both have lobster, a shrimp, I think, in the beak, and both have hunted. But the one on the left, if you see the image, but what's happening there? That twig which is completely diagonally going across, is distracting what exactly was the subject. The subject was to showcase that bird eating the shrimp, you know. So but if there is no background, the next one is there is no distraction, and you are clearly able to see and convey what you wanted to actually show, because that is a kingfisher eating a shrimp, clear. So whenever you are taking a photograph, please check the background. Please check the background and then take it. It makes a big difference, because once you have a distractive background, you cannot do anything with it. You cannot use and remove the background, then it becomes completely unnatural. You can do that, but then it becomes an artistic image. You know, it's not natural. It's not taken at the right way. So background makes a big difference. So for example, if you see here, clean background, so you're able to define what is being taken. This is an African harrier hawk. um, uh, so that is something which you should avoid, background clutter, because it becomes it disturbs the subject what you want to convey. How is it going, Paula? How is everybody out there?
Well,
Are they listening to?
there are a lot of questions, but I don't want to interrupt you with
Okay.
questions, especially unless it's related to the actual photo. I think
Sure. Okay.
we should keep going. And then there's quite a lot of questions on
Okay.
technical issues, which I've promised everyone that we're going to answer at the end. There is a very slight problem, Usha, you should know about this. Just every now and again, your line breaks a little bit, but don't worry.
Okay.
If anybody misses something, please put it in the chat and we'll get back to it again afterwards.
Okay, fine. The next is the angle. That is important for in a composition. What is the angle at which you are taking? Think about it this way. How are you looking at through your eyes? You know, if you're taking at an eye level angle, you actually connect with that very easily. You can apply this in your daily life, like, you know, somebody is standing and you're sitting and you're seeing, looking up and talking to a person. How does that feel, rather than you are at an eye level and talking to a person? Makes a big difference. I think it's a simple way which can be applied in photography as well. Eye level angles really they really simulate that human vision. You can connect with the image or the subject very. So two images which shows, one is taken at a top angle. This is a toy which I have just shown, taken from home. But if it is, you can see a difference on the eye level picture and the not eye level image, how it changes. Usually when you take from a top angle, the subject looks small. But if you take it at an eye level angle, the subject looks the way it is. So that makes a big difference. Now there are different ways you can get eye level angle. It depends on how the subject is. You can probably lie yourself flat on the ground, or if you're in a vehicle, then you have to get it on the windowsill to get that eye level. Or if you are having a big animal, then you have to stand up and take it. So for example, in this, if you see, the chameleon is taken in two different ways. One is at a top angle, look how the image is, and the other one is flat on the ground, how I was lying down, if you see. So that can make a difference in the image. So the composition wise, that can really help in noticing how the angle can make a big difference. This is again an eye level image. So I was there in Trek, and this silverback gorilla was happily sitting very peacefully. But there was one point when he looked up, and I was on a little hill, a slopey place where I had to go down. I had to actually go down the slope to get this eye level. But this is what I could get, and I was very happy with the results. That when he looked at, I could just capture it. Now, other than eye angle, eye level, there are, there's something called bird's eye view, where imagine how a bird sits on a tree and looks at everything down. Where certain times you have to probably take it in those angles to show how small your subject is and how the background, what is a sense of scale. Like in this particular thing, there are these family of hippos. I'm taking it at an elevation, and if you see, there is a pattern there, the S pattern, which is a diagonal, which is a line for the composition, which is also applied here, and the backdrop. So this gives a sense of where these hippos live. So not every image has to be a portrait where you are actually going close to the animal and showing. It can be a telling, it can be an environmental image like these wildebeest. The next one is showing how these rule of thirds can be applied and how you can show the movement of the bird. Like two different placements I have, this subject is kept, but the one on the right where the kingfisher is looking towards gives more open space for, so our eye is also taking to that open space where the bird is looking. So this can be one good way of composing like this, where the animal or the bird is looking towards, give more space towards it so that it can be composed in that manner. You can show habitat, that's very important, also a part of composition for the photograph to tell a story. So this here, the lion is a part of that image. The main thing is to show where the lion is living, how the habitat is. So you can see the horizon line straight, the subject is the big kopje, the rock, and the lion is sleeping there on a cloudy day. So there are these photo story which can be expressed showing the habitat. Here, this is a unfortunate part of the habitat being having the SGR inside the national park, Nairobi National Park. So this shows, you can talk about the image, like there are hartebeest which are in their habitat, which also has an SGR at the background. So this is one of the images to show how habitat can be, shown. Perspective, it's get creative, there are so many things you can look at, and don't rush to take a photograph. You can think about what you want to take and go ahead, but please make sure when you are going, check the background, check the horizon lines, everything, and place the subject well. This one is a kind of creative image. I hope you can see 5 cheetahs here. There's one cheetah which is like a conjoined. So did you spot it, Paula?
Well, let's see if everyone else can spot it. Let's see if anybody's on the chat. You can actually tell us. Can you see 4 cheetahs or 5 cheetahs? Let's see what people say. Yes, I did. 5, 4.
Nice.
Siamese cheetah.
It takes a while, I think, for again to go and check. Then you get the 5 cheetahs. So yeah, so get creative. Look at the perspectives, but keep all those importance in mind about the backgrounds, about the lines and everything, so that you can see the subject very clearly. Storytelling is another beautiful way how you can express in a composition, and look for it always. So this is one of my favorite images to tell a story, is a family of, I think Paula, you should say that.
Well, I love this photograph, Usha, because this is one of my most favorite places in the world. It almost looks like the elephants are in a desert. This is the Amboseli ecosystem. They're in the basin and it's quite dry there. And off in the distance is Mount Kilimanjaro. What I love about this picture is you can see that they're all walking towards Mount Kilimanjaro, and there is a track which is also heading in the same direction.
That's right. So if you, composition wise, I would say if you notice there are 2 diagonal lines which are going, like one is from the elephant moving and the path. So that makes it more appealing to show how it goes, you know. So this is one of the images, and this is a storytelling image, I think, where there is a Masai mama who is beading, you know, and at the background, in the background is her hut. So you can talk about this image, like what is her daily life, how she lives, where she actually sits and beads. There is a small kind of a shade because there's a small tree there, I guess, but it's not giving shade, I guess. It's tough life, but then she's quite happy and peaceful about beading and making a living. So considering all the other interesting details which are given at the back helps. Okay, I will show these because these are important. As we spoke about these composition techniques, this can be taken even in mobile phone, Paula. That's what I want to show is whatever I'm showing now are all mobile, taken pictures from mobile. So you can see the rule of thirds applied. You can see how in certain places the the subject is centered. You can see the horizon line. You can see how the path is giving a diagonal line. You can see the background is clear. So it can be taken through a mobile. The elephant image, actually Apple picked it up and they had showcased in their Instagram. So it got a lot of viewership recently. These are mobile photos. You can see the giraffe is a center focal. Background is clear, no clutter. This is a perspective and creative thing. You can see, you know, Nairobi National Park. I saw the reflection on the bonnet of the car, and to a mobile. That's it. These are again mobile pictures. You can see the rules. The composition tips can be applied here. Birds. This was taken through mobile, but where you place the subject helps. How you place the subject, what is the background, it really helps. So you can actually visualize, you can take it. It's possible. These ones, the leading lines, the diagonal lines, how they are helping to take our eye towards what's happening. Like, you know, you don't know, you feel like, oh, there is an endless road which is going towards it. So just placing the subject helps.
Quick question, Usha.
Yeah.
The picture of the elephant, the one just before this, was it taken with a zoom?
Which one?
That picture. Yeah.
No, it's all mobile, no zoom.
These are all on your phone.
Yeah, because the thing is, when you are on a safari vehicle and fortunately the elephant is coming closer to you, you just wait for the moment and then position it, capture the composition, the frame. So these are some of the tips I wanted to share, Paula, and everybody. I hope it's been really helpful. All I would say is you need to have a passion, you need to have an interest. Take your camera or any tool, equipment which you have, go patiently take and keep clicking, so which can really, really, really help. And also we have this Nature's Treasure photo competition, Paula.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
so,
yeah, carry on.
So, well, Nature's Treasures photo competition is a competition that several people have asked in the chat as well. This is a competition that we're running in Kenya every week. But we decided that as a result of this little training that we're doing, which has now got 95 people signed in, people from, I don't know, more than 10 different countries, we will open up the competition to people from around the world. So take nature pictures from wherever you are. Unfortunately, the prizes will only be to the Kenyan contributions because we send our prizes through telephone. But we would love to see any of your pictures that might fit these two themes for this week and next week: Bizarre Beauties this week and Our Wildlife, Our Pride for next week. I think first, Usha, this has been really amazing. I've been watching the comments. It's really super how many people have been talking about how much they've learned and how fascinating it is and what they're going to do next, do differently. And there's been quite a few questions.
Okay.
Anybody who wants to ask a question, please raise your hand. And I will ask one of them that I saw, which was, do you take your photographs in JPEG or RAW?
No, I take it in RAW because that gives me more freedom to, look. And if I want to do a little bit of post processing, I don't spend a lot of time in post processing because I like to show the natural colors the way they are. So yeah, I don't take just in JPEG. I mostly shoot in RAW. Yeah.
Great. So I'm going to invite the speakers who have put their hands up to ask their questions. I'm going to unmute you. We're starting with Nigel Bryan.
I think he's in mute.
Hi, Usha.
Hi, Nigel.
My question is, what gear do you use and why?
Sorry?
My question is, what gear do you use and why do you use that specific gear?
Okay. So I currently use a Canon, I currently use a Canon 1DX Mark II and 5D Mark IV with a 500mm prime lens, and my go-to lens I would say is 100-400mm, because it gives a lot of room to play around, and the 70-200 plus a wide angle lens. But that's not how I started. I started with a Canon 60D, which used to be in fact before that the Canon PowerShot, but then I moved to Canon 60D with the black 70-300 lens, and then I started moving up as I decided to go for these kits only when I was ready for it, because I know the 500mm prime is heavy. So I had to really take a big decision on whether I will use that lens or not. So it's better to use something which you can manage with, rather than going for a bigger lens and then feeling and not able to lug around it. Because most of the action photographs which I take through, say, birds in flight or a cheetah chase or anything, I love action to take. It's all handheld. So I had to get used to my 500mm handheld, but once you get used to it and you love it, I think it's possible. So these are my kit for now currently, and my iPhone. I always have my iPhone.
Super, thank you, Usha. I'm going to ask you to be like snappy now because you have a number of questions and we're almost out of time. But let's go to Michael Kabora.
He's in mute again.
Sorry, why is he not? Okay, I don't know why I can't seem to unmute him.
Okay.
Can you unmute him from your end?
No.
Oh no.
He can unmute, right?
Unmute yourself, Michael, if you can.
Yeah.
Okay, I've unmuted myself. First of all, those were beautiful images, very, very beautiful images. I love the mobile photography work you did. That came out beautifully. So now on to my question. I had two questions, and it's about action shots for birds in flight. So my first question was, when you're shooting birds in flight, which is the best way to eliminate camera shake? And then the second question in that regard, when you're shooting birds in flight, is it better to use manual focus or autofocus?
Okay. So for thank you, Michael, for enjoying this session and really supporting it. For birds in flight, what I do is always, I prefer doing it handheld. I put it in autofocus. Basically depends on what size of the bird. The bigger bird, I put it in 9-point autofocus, and for a small bird, I put it in spot AF. Yeah.
How do you avoid
thank you
shake?
So much.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks, Michael. All right, I'm going to Saswati Bora.
Hi. Hi, Paul. Big fan of Wildlife Direct. Thank you so much, Usha. Love your talk. I learned so much.
Thank you.
My question is, do you use a special camera model for the moving subjects?
No. There's nothing like special. What gear I have, I use it. And the I think the trick would be that you have to practice. It's not, because I had to really practice to get a cheetah chase shot. Initially, I never used to. I think the trick is to track the subject first through your eyes. So if the bird, you have to be completely hooked and keep yourself very, your reflex should be fast. You should track the bird or the cheetah, and once the action happens, you have to pan it with your focus, and move. So I think that should be the answer.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Basically, it's really hard. Okay.
It's hard. I need lots of practice.
Practice makes it. Yeah.
All right, thanks for that, Saswat. Milind Majithia.
Unmute yourself, please. Milind.
Milind, you can unmute yourself.
I think he's not able to do that.
Milind, you can just click on your mute button down in the bottom left, and I don't know if you can see that. We'll come back to you then. I'm going to go down to.
I think Milind unmuted himself.
Oh, did he? I'm sorry. Okay.
I think so. Oh no, he's muted back. Okay, go on.
Sorry, I disabled talking. Okay, Prince Adu Tutu. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I've done it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
My question is, what was your worst moment in photography, as in you and even up to now?
What was my best moment? Prince,
Yeah,
that's really a very tough question. I think that's the most difficult question I've heard, because every moment has been wonderful, because when I step into a safari, I don't compare that I have been to this place so many times, because I just go as if I'm going to that place for the first time, and I'm as curious as anybody else. So whenever I shoot, I just get happy moments. So seriously, it's very difficult to choose something.
What about your worst moment? Some like and decent.
My best moments?
Your worst moment?
My worst moment right now is the COVID situation, where I cannot step out, I can't go on a safari. I can't step out and see and enjoy nature, right? In terms of on a wildlife safaris, that should be the worst. Otherwise, I really don't see any moment which has been worst.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Prince. Let's go to. I've got some names of people who have put questions in the Q&A, and I would like to call on you. So first, let's go back to Milind, whose mic unfortunately is not working. What can you do when your subject is facing away from you? How can you make a great composition from this?
What do you mean? Can you repeat it?
Like when your subject is looking away from you, so you only have the back of the head.
Yeah, so it's not about every time the face of the subject has to be seen. Like I had one of the images where there was these dark clouds, and there were 3 lion cubs on a mound, but the lion cubs were actually facing the cloud and we were behind. So you just need to be you need to just compose it in a creative way if you want to show a story. So that was like, oh, the lions are also equally looking at the clouds like how we were looking at. So I had to take a landscape image. So you just need to work around and be creative on what you want to convey if you are not able to take a head-on photograph. And it's not all about head-on.
I have to say that one of the things I've learned from you, Usha, today is that how important it is to, one, to understand your subject so you can kind of like preempt what they're going to be doing next, because its head might be turned the wrong way, but then maybe it'll turn and give you profile in a couple of seconds. So curiosity is really important, getting to really learn and understand about your animal and just watch it and try as many different angles as you can. But also a sense of adventure. You seem to have a serious, okay, for those people who are watching, I know actually in the picture you look quite small. She is tiny. Usha is really small. So just to say that.
I am. So the best part is working around and making that what you feel is tiny is my strength, I feel. Because I have seen how important it is to move and maneuver around a safari vehicle. It's not easy. So probably my height is helping me to squeeze myself anywhere. And the lens which I carry, it's like you get used to it. I think it's working anyway.
Definitely is working. Okay, I'm going to go back to some people who have their hands up. Lini Asokan. I hope I pronounced it right. I'm not sure.
Lini, you have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Auntie Usha,
Yeah.
You took the picture of the elephant, and on top of it was Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
Was that elephant? Well, where was it taken?
Where was it taken?
Yeah.
It was taken in Amboseli National Park.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Most welcome.
Thank you, Lini. That's wonderful. One of our child participants. That's really awesome. We've got young people in here. Okay, I'm going to go to Raheel Shah.
My question was, for an action photo, would you suggest a phone or a camera?
For an action photograph? Yes, I think for an action photo, it depends on where and what are you going to capture. If you find that the subject, that is the animal, is very far, then you have to have a camera with a good focal range. Otherwise, if you feel that again is understanding the behavior of the animal, and if the animal is closer to you, you can even think of taking that image in a phone. It's possible.
But could you, like, if it's an action photo of maybe a bed, would like coming down maybe 5 meters away from your car, what would you suggest?
You have to see how close you can take it. You can try it out in your phone, but I would suggest you don't zoom in your phone, because when you zoom the image, it gets very noisy. So don't zoom and take a photograph in the phone.
Okay, thank you, Auntie Usha.
Welcome.
You got lots of little nephews and nieces out there. That's great. Okay. So now we have Vignesh. Okay, the name is Ramachandran.
Vignesh.
Sorry, hold on. There we are.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, Vignesh.
Just to know, like, prime, on what situation this prime lens will be more useful? What kind of
situation?
Yeah, what kind of situation prime lens, like prime lens actually, it would be good to use actually.
Okay. See, prime lens definitely, as anybody would understand, has a limitation on distance. It can only capture up to and from a particular distance. But when there are a lot of situations in wildlife where you are not able to go closer to the subject. And those are the times when prime lens really helps. to take that image. So most of the time when you are on a safari and that probably you're waiting for an action to happen, you give a lot of space for the animal to be natural. At that time, say for example, if there is your lens is prime lens, and it is like any photograph beyond 50 meters is taken from your lens, you can go ahead and only use prime lens. You don't need any other zoom lens for that. So the limitation would be the distance. So you can just work around what subject you are taking and whether you want to use a prime lens or not.
But how about the quality wise? Like if I'm zooming, okay, I have 200 and 500. But
Yeah.
if I'm zooming at 500, at the same
Yeah.
time I'm using a 500 mm lens, and
Yeah.
what would be the quality of the thing?
See, I think, Vignesh, that depends on the make of the lens, the brand, and how they have done. Prime lens usually helps in getting a little more better quality of the image because of lot of elements which has gone in making the lens, and also the aperture is it helps. So I think between zoom and prime, if you are technically asking, maybe the sharpness is a bit more. But I would say on a golden lighting, on a very good natural light, and if you are focusing sharpness can be maintained even on a zoom lens.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you for that. We have 3 more questions that I'm going to try and go through in the next 5 minutes before we wrap this up. And if anybody has other questions, please don't hesitate to put them into the Q&A or in the chat, and we will get back to you. Yeah, I guess at that point we'll know what we're going to be doing next, and we'll be letting you know what comes next after this particular training. So I'm going to let Kush Hirani ask his question.
Unmute.
Kush, are you still there?
Yeah. Hello. You can hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. My question is, the virtual background you're using. Have you taken the picture? And
yes.
where is it?
Yeah, that's my photograph, and it's taken in Masai Mara.
Oh, yeah. It's nice.
Thank you.
Yep. A number of people asked that question, so thank you for that, Kush.
Okay.
Oh, I see a few more people have now put their hands up. I'm going to just check. Raheel Shah. Sorry,
that
not
I think we answered.
Sorry,
him.
I think we've already done that one.
Sorry, I put it on my hand.
Sorry? Okay.
Sorry,
I think,
my hand.
oh, okay. Thank you for that. Kiernan T.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if, like, if I take a picture of my pet cat, should I add filters or just leave it the way it is?
Well, it's a question which probably you can ask yourself, because you can try it out, but find first, just question yourself, why do you need a filter? It depends on the light. There are many other factors. So take it with a filter, see how much the light is cut, what type of filter are you using, and take it without it and see, because it depends on whether you're doing a manual setting or an auto setting. If it is a manual setting, are you putting your correct exposure? So yeah, there are a lot of aspects for it to answer this specifically.
Great, thank you. Okay, our last question is from Hassan Mohammed.
Hi, Usha.
Hi, Hassan.
Okay, fine. I understand you're a judge, and I was asking, what are the basic factors or elements that a photo can be regarded as an award-winning photograph?
Okay, Hassan, I think as I actually took everybody through the session, the
Yes.
factors which I discussed, composition, definitely please go through that. That really helps. And as I showed in the first slide about lighting, colors, contrast, sharpness, composition, all these will definitely make a good photograph.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you for
Okay,
that,
thank
Hassan.
you.
And
Thank
we
you.
will make this entire recording available online, so anybody who missed a part of it can come back and watch it. Okay, for your last question, Usha, we have Idhant Nag.
Okay.
Hello, the presentation was very good. I just wanted to ask, is there like an animal that you want to see every time, which will make your day?
Which will make my day?
Yeah.
That's really a very good question, Idhan. I love all animals. Honestly, I'm generally a very neutral person, but I must say, if I want to see an animal in the world, and which would probably give me happiness instantly, will be a giraffe. I think so.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, most welcome. Maybe because a giraffe is taller, much taller than me. Not sure. Yeah.
Opposites attract.
Yeah, opposites attract.
Nice one. So, Usha, there's a question that has come up a couple of times in the chat and in the Q&A about how do you edit your photographs? Do you have a favorite editing software?
I use Lightroom for my images taken from camera, because as I said, I really do minimal editing. Just to touch upon, editing is mainly to get the correct exposure in terms of playing a little bit with shadows or maybe little blacks and whites. In phone, the images I take from phone, which particularly is through iPhone, I use Snapseed as my application for editing. Even iPhone has editing options. So yeah, those are the two things.
Great. Thank you very much for that. And I would want to thank everyone who has been on the session. We have gone over a bit by about 10 minutes, so I'm sorry about that, Usha. We are really thrilled with the level of participation. We had 95 different participants on this session, which is fantastic. And we hope that we can do this session again. So if everyone could please drop us a comment in the chat. What did you think of this? I think there may even be a questionnaire that comes up afterwards if we set it up correctly. We'd love to know if this was useful, if you'd like to move on to the next class, which will also be taught by Usha and perhaps other photographers around the world who are just dying to share their knowledge. So Usha, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate your time. And I know it took you a lot of work to put together that presentation. And I hope that it was as useful to you as it has been for us.
For sure. Thank you, Paula. And I hope everybody has liked or picked something from this presentation where they will apply it in their photographic composition and can really make a difference in showing this to the world. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for patiently being there and listening, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. And
yes,
stay
thank
safe,
you, everyone. I'm going to leave it running for a minute or so, as I can see more comments are still coming in. And just to say that I think we take it for granted as we live in Kenya that we have this incredible biodiversity. We are one of the most mega diverse countries in the world. And we have opportunities to photograph everything from megafauna to tiny insects, because we still have such a magnificent variety of wildlife. And I have one tip, actually, which didn't come up in your session. So I'm an ecologist. I studied elephants, and I know a lot about elephant behavior, but I also studied primates. And I know that people love taking pictures of baboons. If you go into Nairobi National Park, the first animal you usually see are baboons, and usually there's a crowd of cars, because these animals are so like human beings. They're easy for us to relate to. And I often see people take their big camera out and swing it towards the baboon, and the baboon will immediately turn away and walk away from the car. The moment you make eye contact with a primate, they tend to take it as an affront, as a threat, and they will turn their head away and you lose that moment. And so one of the things that I do, and I've been doing this for a very long time because I studied animal behavior, is if you want to take a picture of an animal and you want to catch it off guard, don't look at it. Move towards it like a spy. Keep your eyes looking one direction as you move your body towards it, and it gets the feeling that you're not actually interested in it. And then you just move your head very slowly towards it in order to get that shot. Otherwise, they will get spooked very quickly, and you lose often a fantastic opportunity to get a great photo.
Very true. And the idea of also this session, as we discussed, Paula, was to make it very simple to everybody, the beginners, children, to know what can be, how beautiful a photograph can be made. So it was not a technical session. It was not something, it was for everybody to take something from there, from the session.
Yes.
So, so that was the purpose. So yeah, there's a lots to learn, lots of practice which helps to know the behavior of the animal and nature. And you are the right person for it to talk about it.
Well, thank you so much, Usha. And for all of the participants, please do check out our page on Facebook, Wildlife Direct, and also on Twitter and Instagram, it's Wildlife Direct, where we will be sharing the link to this recording, as well as the tips in the form of a PDF, which quite a few people have asked for. We also will be sharing the announcement about the photo competition, which you can enter from anywhere in the world, and many other activities that we're doing at Wildlife Direct. So thanks everyone, and bye. Thank you, Usha. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. See you, Paula. Thanks everyone. Bye. Stay safe.
Bye.